Welcome to Speciation 101 Part 4. Now that we know how speciation occurs, we will move on to learning how to know when it has occurred. There are currently 25 different concepts on how a species is defined, but in this segment we will only discuss the three main concepts of speciation. It is important to note that the concept of a species and the parameters by which they are separated are man-made. In nature, there is nothing that necessarily separates organisms into different groups, which is why defining speciation is so difficult and controversial. The first way a species can be categorized is by the morphospecies concept. This splits separate species apart by their morphological characteristics. This basically means that if a species looks different from another, then they are two separate species. The second way you could define a species is by the phylogenetic species concept. This concept organizes species by common ancestry and shared and derived traits. This results in ending tips on phylogenetic trees being separate species from one another. The last way species can be categorized that we will explain in this video is by the biological species concept. This is defined as speciation occurring when different populations of a species no longer breed with one another and are now considered two or more separate species. This means that two species that could actually still interbreed, but due to reproductive isolating barriers do not, are considered two different species. Examples of reproductive isolating barriers include differences in how organisms find and recognize mates, difficulties in egg fertilization and recognition, and if the two organisms do manage to have offspring, sometimes the offspring don't develop correctly and do not survive long enough to reproduce or are sterile.